and Kamai to follow. Last week, we provided updates on initiatives that included the new Mobile Access Center, or the MAC, which brings services to people where they are, right there on the street. The Mayor's Fund for Homeless Action, we announced that we are soliciting new contributions to help support organizations and address the needs of people experiencing homelessness, and the establishment of a city voucher incentives team and other incentives to smooth the path toward housing for tenants who are in need, and to work with our landlord, our housing provider community, to ensure that they know how to secure tenants who hold vouchers. Today, we're going to provide updates on our city's outreach efforts in the downtown area, talk about affordable housing and how it's such an important part of our response to homelessness as we think about the future, and highlight recent successes in closing the housing affordability gap. First, I want to share some information on our coordinated response efforts utilizing various city teams. These teams provided a coordinated response that includes partners from our city health department, the fire department, the police department, and Billie Jean King Library, and we're partnering with the County of Los Angeles. Since December, outreach teams have focused on the downtown area, and we've reached 234 people experiencing homelessness. 72 of those people have received services. They've accepted services from our city team, and this includes services in the field like the new MAC, referral and transportation to shelter, enrollment in our homeless services system, connections to community resources, and basic medical services. And the effort continues. Teams will continue to work to connect people with both immediate services and long-term referral services. Next, I want to focus on affordable housing. We know affordable housing is grounded in the belief that all residents of all income levels here in our city are worthy of a safe and stable place to call home and build a life for themselves within the city. Most people in affordable housing have low or very low incomes, and they pay about 30% of their gross income on housing costs. This also includes their utility bills, which we know have increased recently. Today, typically, affordable housing developments in the city begin with the Long Beach Community Investment Company, LBCIC. It's a nonprofit that partners with our city and supports affordable housing and neighborhood revitalization. Now, Christopher is going to talk a bit more about this in a moment. The shortage of affordable housing rental units is one of the primary drivers of homelessness in our city and across our region. We have to invest in this resource and add more affordable housing to our entire stock. And keep in mind that many of the funding mechanisms for these projects come with obligations that ensure that the units will remain affordable even in the next generations to come. But there's still a lot more work to be done. We have to continue to look for resources, solution-oriented tactics that will make a real meaningful difference in people's lives. So thank you first for taking interest in being part of the solution. So now we're going to head to Christopher. So Christopher, tell us a little bit about the LBCIC work and what development services is doing to help people experiencing homelessness and reduce the risk of homelessness.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor, and it's really a privilege to be here to talk about affordable housing. It's my passion and it's my part of this big all-city effort around homelessness. So as we're successful in getting people off the street and getting them into services, they need a permanent place to live. And if we're going to have people not fall into homelessness, they need affordable housing. So our department, Development Services, does a few different things. We permit and inspect the construction of new housing. We finance affordable housing, and over the pandemic, we've handed out more than $70 million in rental assistance. I'm really proud of what we've done, but we have to do more. Right. Obviously, we have to do more, and we have to have housing opportunities for folks that just need a little help and are in a situation where it's expensive to live in this city. So that's what we're doing. The Long Beach CIC is a nonprofit that is instituted by the city, that we staff, that we fund, but is more nimble than sometimes the city can be. So I think it's a really important partnership, and that's how we have that direct connection to housing construction.
That's good. That's good. Well, I'll tell you, when we think about the crisis that we have in downtown and across our entire city, really, since the pandemic began, we've noticed different trends in how people work, and the engagement in our downtown is completely different. What opportunities do you see for us to really rethink our downtown, these corridors that have been, have vacant storefronts and maybe they're not being utilized the way they were designed to be years ago. What opportunities has the pandemic and this homeless emergency created to really rethink our downtown?
Yeah, so downtown is just 2 square miles of the city. The city is over 50 square miles, but it's a huge opportunity. So it's an ability to partner with building owners, faith-based organizations, those that serve seniors and veterans, and really think about what is downtown 2.0. What does the future of downtown look like? In 2012, we took a big step forward. We created the downtown plan, and we've built more than 5,000 new housing units downtown. That's included affordable units. We have more than 500 affordable units in the process right now. We're funding more than $6 million in the last couple months towards affordable housing, but obviously more needs to be done. So we need to think about what does the future of downtown look like? How can some of these office buildings that people haven't returned to become housing? But also, how can we have spaces in downtown that are inviting, that work for everyone, that are dynamic and have arts and entertainment and also housing opportunities. So it's really an ability to think about what comes next, and then how do we build on the more than 2,400 units that were approved over the last couple of years for the next 1,000 and the next 1,000, because at the end of the day we have to have housing units if we want people to be housed. It sounds basic, but it's an important thing we need to do. We've done a lot, but we need to do a lot more.
And I think that's important. As we talk about this emergency, we can't live in emergency forever. We have to think about medium-term and long-term solutions. And in the medium term, let's look at ways to address our zoning and maybe reprioritize to bring families back into the downtown and make sure that our ground floor is activated. If it's not with ground floor retail, then let's look at housing, or let's look at other opportunities. Now, in the 100-day plan at the State of the City, we talked about beginning, and you mentioned Downtown 2.0, beginning this process of our Downtown Plan 2.0. So what do you think the timeline for that process will take place?
Yeah, so this summer, I know it's very cold outside today, but summer's right around the corner. We'll be having community meetings, we'll be doing workshops, and I'm so excited, we can be out in the community again and sort of talking to people and showing them ideas and being able to talk about that. So that'll be coming this summer, but we don't have to wait till this summer to see progress. So as part of the emergency, any new affordable housing projects will be reviewed by my department, by Development Services, within 60 days. We're going to change the way we do things, because we need to change the way we do things, and we need to be able to do them quickly. I'm doing a top to bottom review with staff of all of our affordable housing funding, seeing how we can get it out the door quicker, and so that we can come out of the emergency, and so that housing is part of the long-term answer for folks in need.
Absolutely. And thank you, because it's fortunate that we are a city with our own health department and a great development services team that thinks about long-range planning, so we don't find ourselves in this situation again. The last thing I'll just say is that our neighbors in Los Angeles just recently adopted some tenant protections in terms of just cause for eviction protections, and a lot of folks said, hey, Long Beach should do the same, and I reminded them that Long Beach took this step 3 years ago in ensuring that we had universal just cause for eviction protections in our city. Could you just touch on that briefly? Yeah,
so we met with landlords, we met with tenants' rights advocates, we looked at the facts, we looked at the data, and way back before the pandemic, we enacted what's called just cause protections for renters. I think we forget because we all lived through the pandemic, but that was actually a huge policy step forward for the council back then. And then we built upon that. So we funded legal services for renters. We provided additional fair housing services, and we're doing our best to engage with the renter community, engage with the housing providers both, and work out issues and work collaboratively. We do rental inspections, so we make sure that every rental unit in this city is safe and habitable for the occupant, because everyone deserves a safe place to live, and they deserve to live with dignity in their home. So that's what we're trying to assure here in the city.
Fantastic. Well, hey folks, you heard from Mr. Kuntz, our Development Services Director. We are doing all that we can to speed up the availability of shelter and housing today. We're doing the medium-term things that we need to do to rethink the zoning and how we engage in our downtown with these new trends. And we're also thinking long-term. We have 26,000 or so units that we need to build within our city per the Regional Housing Needs Assessment, and by going through a Downtown Plan 2.0, which will begin the process this year, that allows us to increase the number of housing units that are affordable for families in our city. So we have to walk and chew gum at the same time, and so we'll continue to provide these updates. Thanks again for tuning in, and now we're going to go ahead and proceed to the interpretation in Spanish and then Khmer. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Muy buenos días a todos ustedes. Bienvenidos a la segunda nuestras actualizaciones semanales sobre la emergencia local de las personas sin hogar en la ciudad de Long Beach. Hoy el alcalde Richardson estuvo acompañado por Christopher Kranz, director de Servicios de Desarrollo. Hoy haremos lo siguiente, y lo cual les hemos estado platicando. Proporcionaremos actualizaciones sobre los esfuerzos de alcance de la ciudad en el centro, en el área de la ciudad. Hablaremos sobre la vivienda asequibles, de una parte tan importante, fundamental de nuestra respuesta a la falta de vivienda, y, más que nada, destacar los éxitos más recientes en el cierre de la brecha de asequibilidad y de vivienda. Antes que nada, quiero compartir información sobre nuestros esfuerzos coordinados de alcance utilizando diversos equipos y también transporte público. Esos equipos proporcionan una respuesta coordinada que incluye socios del Departamento de Salud de la ciudad, el Departamento de Bomberos, el Departamento de Policía y además la Biblioteca Billie Jean King en el Condado de Los Ángeles. Queremos fomentar y destacar otros aspectos fundamentales del ayuntamiento en coordinación con todas las personas que trabajan en conjunto con nosotros. Desde diciembre, los equipos de extensión enfocados en el área del centro de la ciudad llegaron a 234 personas sin hogar. 72 de esas personas aceptaron servicios de nuestros equipos. Estos incluyeron servicios del campo desde el centro de acceso móvil, lo cual es muy importante y fundamental. Como referencia, transporte al refugio, inscripción en nuestros sistemas de servicios para personas sin hogar, conexiones, vínculos y recursos comunitarios y servicios de aspecto médico básico y accesibles. A continuación, quiero centrarme en la vivienda asequible. La vivienda asequible se basa en la creencia de que todos los residentes de todos los niveles de ingresos socioeconómicos sean dignos de un lugar seguro y estable al que puedan llamar hogar. Es lo cual la ciudad de Long Beach está trabajando arduamente para perseverar este mismo aspecto y llegar a un fin que nos convenga al bien común. La mayoría de las personas en viviendas asequibles tienen ingresos bajos o muy bajos y pagan alrededor de 30% de sus ingresos brutos en costos de vivienda, incluidos los servicios públicos. Por lo general, los desarrollos asequibles en la ciudad comienzan con Long Beach Community Investment Company, que es algo que estamos trabajando en conjunto con ellos para hacer una revitalización del mismo vecindario. La ciudad de Long Beach y, por sus siglas en inglés, LBCIU, asociaron increíblemente los desarrolladores, proveedores de servicios públicos comunitarios y religiosos, lo cual es un aspecto importante que estamos fomentando, trabajando en Long Beach para tener un plan conocido como el 2.0 para desarrollar este freno económico. Durante el año pasado, Long Beach ha agregado más de 520 viviendas asequibles a nuestro desarrollo de inversión de viviendas locales, lo cual es algo fundamental para prosperar. Esto incluye los desarrollos que se han completado y los que están actualmente en proceso de construcción. La semana pasada se aprobaron 6.1 millones para el desarrollo de 2 nuevos proyectos de vivienda asequible que traerán casi 200 viviendas asequibles a la misma ciudad. Una gran parte de estas unidades se reserva para aquellos que experimentaron el mismo. A continuación también tenemos a nuestro invitado, el cual destacó cosas fundamentales de cómo estamos trabajando en esto en conjunto para que ya no haya ningún tipo de indigencia o personas sin hogar. Por favor, cuéntanos un poquito de eso para que podamos seguir adelante con ello y qué se está desarrollando para el mismo plan. Una de esas cosas fundamentales es que Long Beach sigue invirtiendo en este recurso para agregar más viviendas asequibles en este inventario. Ahora, tengamos en cuenta que muchos de los mecanismos de financiamiento para estos proyectos vienen con una obligación muy fundamental que asegura las unidades que seguirán siendo asequibles incluso para la próxima generación. Así que hay mucho trabajo por delante. Long Beach es fuerte y en nuestra dedicación a explorar soluciones creativas e innovadoras que podamos restaurar no nomás el financiamiento o las viviendas, pero restablecer el tejido social para seguir adelante con los mismos aspectos. Por favor, les doy las gracias por estar con nosotros el día de hoy con estas actualizaciones y seguiremos proporcionando las actualizaciones para todos ustedes. Para mayor información, por favor visítenos en la página en línea y se les agradece mucho. Gracias.
បាទសូមជម្រាបសួរបងប្អូនទាំងអស់នេះគឺជាសប្តាហ៍ទី2ហើយដែលយើងឡើងមកជម្រាបជូនបងប្អូនអំពីព័ត៌មានថ្មីស្ដីអំពីបញ្ហាដែលត្រូវដោះស្រាយជាបន្ទាន់ពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងការរស់នៅដោយគ្មានទីជម្រកស្នាក់នៅក្នុងទីក្រុងឡុងបិចរបស់យើងថ្ងៃនេះយើងមានវត្តមានលោកអភិបាលក្រុងឡុងបិចលោក Richardson និងលោក Christopher Coons ដែលជានាយកផ្នែកសេវាអភិវឌ្ឍដើម្បីជម្រាបជូនដំណឹងថ្មីទាំងនេះបាទថ្ងៃនេះយើងមានជម្រាបជូនបងប្អូននៅព័ត៌មានសំខាន់ដូចតទៅនេះបាទទី1គឺយើងផ្ដល់ជូនព័ត៌មានថ្មីអំពីការខិតខំប្រឹងប្រែងរបស់សាលាក្រុងនៅក្នុងការចុះផ្សាយផ្ទាល់ដល់ទីប្រជុំជនកណ្ដាលក្រុងឡុងបិចរបស់យើងនឹងជម្រាបជូនបងប្អូនផងដែរអំពីអ្វីទៅដែលជាហេតុផលដែលថាលំនៅឋានដែលមានតម្លៃថោកសមរម្យពិតជាមានសារៈសំខាន់ចូលរួមចំណែកនៅក្នុងការឆ្លើយតបទៅនឹងបញ្ហាដែលគ្មានទីជម្រកស្នាក់នៅសមរម្យហើយនឹងបញ្ជាក់ជូនអំពីជោគជ័យថ្មីនៅក្នុងការដោះស្រាយបញ្ហាតម្លៃលំនៅឋានដើម្បីឲ្យមានតម្លៃសមរម្យល្មមដែលអាចឲ្យប្រជាពលរដ្ឋលៃលោករកផ្ទះនៅនឹងគេបាននោះបាទជាដំបូងខ្ញុំចង់ជម្រាបជូនបងប្អូននៅព័ត៌មានខ្លះអំពីការប្រឹងប្រែងរបស់ក្រុមការងារចម្រុះរបស់ក្រុងក្នុងកិច្ចសហការគ្នាដើម្បីចុះផ្សព្វផ្សាយដល់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋឲ្យបានជ្រួតជ្រាបរឿងនេះក្រុមការងារចម្រុះទាំងនេះរួមគ្នាឆ្លើយតបទៅនឹងបញ្ហាអត់ផ្ទះសម្បែងដោយមានកិច្ចសហការពីនាយកដ្ឋានសុខាភិបាលរបស់ក្រុងនាយកដ្ឋានពន្លត់អគ្គិភ័យនិងនាយកដ្ឋានប៉ូលីសរួមទាំងខាងបណ្ណាល័យធំរបស់យើងគឺ BJK Library និងផ្នែកពាក់ព័ន្ធនៅក្នុងតំបន់ LA County យើងផងដែរតាំងតែពីខែធ្នូក្រុមការងារចុះផ្សព្វផ្សាយរបស់យើងខ្ញុំផ្ដោតទៅលើការផ្សព្វផ្សាយរបស់ដំណឹងនេះដល់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋនៅក្នុងតំបន់គឺទីប្រជុំជនកណ្ដាលទីក្រុងឡុងបិចរបស់យើងដោយបានចុះជួបប្រជាពលរដ្ឋដែលរស់នៅដោយអនាថាដោយគ្មានទីជម្រករស់នៅសមរម្យចំនួន234នាក់បាទនៅក្នុងចំណោមពួកគាត់ទាំងនេះមាន72នាក់យល់ព្រមទទួលយកសេវាពីក្រុមការងាររបស់យើងខ្ញុំសេវាទាំងនោះរួមមានសេវាដែលផ្ដល់នៅមណ្ឌលផ្ដល់សេវាចល័តដូចជាការបញ្ជូនបន្តនិងជួយដឹកជញ្ជូនពួកគាត់ទៅរកទីជម្រកត្រឹមត្រូវការចុះឈ្មោះចូលនៅក្នុងប្រព័ន្ធសេវាផ្នែកភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងការជួយណែនាំឲ្យពួកគាត់បានទទួលធនធានពីសហគមន៍និងសេវាថែទាំសុខភាពជាមូលដ្ឋានបាទជាបន្ទាប់ទៅទៀតនេះខ្ញុំចង់ផ្ដោតទៅលើការងារលំនៅឋាននិងការរស់នៅដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពបាទមានការដែលមានលំនៅឋានរស់នៅដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពនេះគឺឈរទៅលើស្មារតីដែលថាប្រជាពលរដ្ឋគ្រប់គ្នាមិនថាអ្នកមានប្រាក់ចំណូលប៉ុណ្ណានោះទេគឺសុទ្ធតែសមទទួលបានផ្ទះសម្បែងស្នាក់នៅសមរម្យប្រកបដោយសុវត្ថិភាពនិងឋិតថេរយូរអង្វែងនិងជាទីដែលពួកគាត់កសាងជីវិតនិងការរស់នៅក្នុងទីក្រុងរបស់យើងពលរដ្ឋភាគច្រើនដែលរស់នៅក្នុងលំនៅឋានដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពនេះពួកគាត់មានប្រាក់ចំណូលទាបឬក៏តិចតួចដូចស្ដាងមែនទែនហើយត្រូវបេះ 30% នៃប្រាក់ចំណូលដែលតិចស្រាប់នេះទៅបង់ថ្លៃផ្ទះនិងទឹកភ្លើងថែមទៀត មែនតើទៅការគិតគូរអំពីលំនៅឋានដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពនៅក្នុងទីក្រុងឡុងប៊ិចរបស់យើងនេះគឺចាប់ផ្ដើមពីដំបូងដោយអង្គការសង្គមស៊ីវិលមួយឈ្មោះថាក្រុមវិនិយោគសហគមន៍ឡុងប៊ិចដែលជាអង្គការមិនរកប្រាក់កម្រៃផ្ដល់សេវាគាំទ្រផ្នែកលំនៅឋានដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យទៅតាមលទ្ធភាពនិងការស្ដារគឺការកែលម្អឬក៏ស្ដារកម្រិតជីវភាពរស់នៅរបស់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋនៅក្នុងភូមិរបស់យើងសាលាក្រុងឡុងប៊ិចនិងក្រុមហ៊ុននេះចាប់ដៃគូជាមួយក្រុមហ៊ុនអភិវឌ្ឍក្រុមហ៊ុនផ្ដល់សេវាផ្សេងទៀតនិងក្រុមអង្គការសង្គមស៊ីវិលរបស់សហគមន៍ផងរួមទាំងក្រុមដៃគូដទៃទៀតនៅក្នុងការសាងសង់លំនៅឋានថ្មីបន្ថែមទៀតដើម្បីផ្គត់ផ្គង់តាមតម្រូវការហើយនឹងជួយធ្វើឲ្យភូមិឋានរបស់យើងនឹងមានសុវត្ថិភាពនិងកាន់តែគួរឲ្យចង់រស់នៅកាលពីឆ្នាំមុនសាលាក្រុងឡុងប៊ិចបានបន្ថែមផ្ទះដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពចំនួន220ខ្នងថែមទៀតសម្រាប់សេចក្តីត្រូវការនៅក្នុងមូលដ្ឋានហើយផ្ទះទាំងនេះរួមមានទាំងផ្ទះដែលបានកសាងរួចទៅហើយនិងផ្ទះកំពុងតែសាងសង់គ្រាន់តែមួយសប្តាហ៍កន្លងទៅនេះយើងបានឯកភាពផ្ដល់ថវិកា$6 លានសម្រាប់អភិវឌ្ឍគម្រោងសាងសង់លំនៅឋានដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពចំនួន2គម្រោងដែលនឹងសាងសង់នៅលំនៅឋានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពនេះជិត200ខ្នងបន្ថែមទៀតនៅក្នុងក្រុងរបស់យើងផ្ទះនេះភាគច្រើនគឺនឹងត្រូវសម្រិតសម្រាំងទុកសម្រាប់ផ្ដល់ជូនដល់អ្នកដែលរស់នៅអនាថាគ្មានទីជម្រកស្នាក់នៅសមរម្យឬអ្នកដែលកំពុងតែប្រឈមនឹងភាពគ្មានទីជម្រកច្រកកោនការខ្វះបន្ទប់ជួលដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពនឹងឯងគឺជាបញ្ហាចម្បងមួយដែលនាំឲ្យកើតបញ្ហាអនាថាឬភាពគ្មានទីជម្រកសមរម្យនៅក្នុងក្រុងរបស់យើងទីក្រុងឡុងប៊ិចត្រូវតែបន្ថែមទុនដើម្បីវិនិយោគលើផ្នែកធនធាននេះនឹងត្រូវតែបន្ថែមផ្ទះដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពនេះឲ្យបានច្រើនទៀតសម្រាប់ក្រុងរបស់យើងជាងនេះទៅទៀតចូលយើងទាំងអស់គ្នាកុំភ្លេចថាយន្តការនៅក្នុងការផ្ដល់ថវិកាសម្រាប់គម្រោងទាំងអស់នេះគឺសុទ្ធតែបានមកដោយមានចំណងកាតព្វកិច្ចជាប់មកជាមួយចំណងនោះគឺការធានាធ្វើយ៉ាងណាឲ្យបន្ទប់ជួលឬក៏ផ្ទះដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពនេះនៅមានជាដរាបទាំងសម្រាប់ជំនាន់នេះនិងសម្រាប់ជំនាន់តទៅទៀតយើងនៅមានកិច្ចការច្រើនណាស់ដែលត្រូវបន្តធ្វើហើយសាលាក្រុងឡុងប៊ិចបដិញ្ញារក្សាជំហររឹងមាំក្នុងការស្វែងរកដំណោះស្រាយចម្រុះទាំងបែបច្នៃប្រឌិតនិងគំនិតថ្មីដើម្បីពន្លត់ភ្លើងនៃវិបត្តិភាពអនាថានិងបញ្ហាគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងរស់នៅសមរម្យនេះបើបងប្អូនចង់ជ្រាបព័ត៌មានបន្ថែមអំពីលំនៅឋានសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពនិងធនធានដែលពាក់ព័ន្ធផ្សេងទៀតរួមទាំងបញ្ជីនៃផ្ទះជួលដែលមានតម្លៃសមរម្យតាមលទ្ធភាពនេះសូមបងប្អូនចូលមើលគេហទំព័ររបស់យើងតាមអាសយដ្ឋាន longbeach.gov/lbds បាទសូមអរគុណ